Have you ever looked at a guy and thought, he's kind, he's respectful, he treats her well, then a few weeks later, she says, you're such a good friend, and suddenly everything changes? What happened? Why do some genuinely good men end up in the friend zone, while someone with less effort sometimes gets the romantic attention? The answer isn't as simple as people think. It's not because women don't like good men. It's because attraction and appreciation are not always the same thing. Today we're exploring 7 psychological reasons why women sometimes friend zone good men, reasons that are rarely discussed but can completely change how you understand attraction. Let's begin. One of the biggest misunderstandings about relationships is believing that kindness automatically creates attraction. Kindness matters, respect matters, emotional maturity matters, but attraction isn't a reward for good behavior. Human emotions are far more complicated than that. Psychology shows that attraction is influenced by perception, emotional experience, timing, confidence, mystery, and countless subconscious signals. Sometimes a woman genuinely likes a man, she enjoys talking to him, she trusts him, she even values him deeply, yet she still doesn't imagine a romantic future with him. Why? Let's break down the psychology behind it. Reason number 1, she feels safe, but not emotionally challenged. Imagine meeting someone who agrees with everything you say, never disagrees, never surprises you, always says yes. At first it feels comfortable, but after a while, the relationship becomes predictable. Psychologists often explain that the human brain naturally pays more attention to experiences that create emotional engagement. That doesn't mean creating drama, it means creating curiosity. Some good men become so focused on being liked that they stop expressing their own opinions, they avoid conflict, they never tease, they never challenge conversations. Eventually, she feels comfortable. But comfort alone doesn't always create romantic excitement. She begins seeing him as someone dependable, instead of someone she feels emotionally drawn toward. There's a difference. Reason number 2, he gives too much too soon. Here's something many people never realize. Value often depends on timing. Imagine someone you've just met starts giving you constant attention. Good morning messages, good night messages, instant replies, always available, always making sacrifices. At first, it seems sweet, but psychologically, receiving too much investment before emotional connection has developed can feel overwhelming. The relationship begins feeling unbalanced. Instead of discovering each other naturally, one person is already emotionally committed, the other is still deciding. That difference creates pressure, and pressure rarely creates attraction. Healthy relationships usually grow step by step, not all at once. Reason number 3, she doesn't feel his confidence. Confidence isn't loud, it isn't arrogance, and it definitely isn't pretending to be someone you're not. Real confidence is calm. It's knowing your value without constantly needing validation. Many good men accidentally hide their confidence because they're afraid of making mistakes. They apologize too much, they constantly seek reassurance, they ask, are you mad? Did I say something wrong? Do you still like me? Over time, those small behaviors send a subtle psychological message. I don't fully believe in myself. Confidence is attractive because it creates emotional stability. People naturally feel more secure around someone who already feels secure within themselves. Reason number 4, she sees him more like family than a romantic partner. This one surprises many people. Have you ever met someone who feels incredibly comforting, someone who listens, supports you, always helps? Over time, your brain starts placing them into a category. Sometimes that category becomes family, not literally, emotionally. She feels protected, she trusts him, she enjoys spending time with him, but her brain associates those feelings with emotional safety instead of romantic chemistry. This doesn't mean he did anything wrong, it simply means emotional labels form earlier than many people realize. Once someone's mind places you into the friend category, changing that perception becomes much harder. First impressions matter more than most people think. So far, we've covered 4 psychological reasons, but the next 3 are even more surprising, especially the final one, because it's something many good men do without even realizing it. If you've ever wondered why someone appreciates you but doesn't choose you, keep watching. The next few minutes could completely change your perspective. Reason number 5, he prioritizes her, but forgets himself. Think about this. When someone constantly rearranges their entire life for another person, what message does it send? Many believe it shows love. Sometimes it does, but when it happens too early, it can unintentionally communicate something else, that your own life isn't your priority. Psychologically, People are often drawn toward individuals who already have purpose, goals, friends, hobbies, dreams, someone whose happiness doesn't depend on one person. Ironically, the more fulfilling your own life becomes, the more naturally attractive you appear, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because confidence grows from having a meaningful life beyond relationships. Reason number 6, emotional timing isn't matching. Sometimes, there isn't anything wrong with either person. The timing simply doesn't align. She might still be healing from a previous relationship, focused on her career, working through personal challenges, or simply not looking for romance. Yet because he's kind, she keeps him close as a trusted friend. People often assume rejection means they weren't good enough, but psychology reminds us that timing influences attraction more than we like to admit. Someone can admire you deeply without being emotionally available. That doesn't erase your value. It simply reflects where they are in life. Reason number 7, she appreciates him but doesn't feel romantic chemistry. This is probably the hardest truth to accept, and it's the one nobody likes talking about. Appreciation and attraction are different emotions. A woman can sincerely think, he's amazing, he's respectful, he would make someone very happy, yet still not experience romantic feelings. Chemistry isn't something people can simply force. It develops through a combination of emotional connection, shared experiences, personality compatibility, communication style, confidence, life goals, and countless subconscious impressions. This isn't about perfection, it's about compatibility. Sometimes two wonderful people simply connect better as friends, and that's okay, because relationships built without genuine mutual attraction often become unhappy for both people. Real compatibility cannot be negotiated. It has to exist naturally. The bigger psychological picture. Here's where many people make a painful mistake. They assume being friend-zoned means they're not attractive, not valuable, or not enough, but that's rarely what psychology suggests. Human attraction isn't a scorecard. It isn't a reward system. You cannot earn romantic feelings simply by doing more favors, buying more gifts, or sacrificing more of yourself. Healthy attraction usually grows when two people genuinely enjoy each other's company while both maintaining their own identities. The healthiest relationships happen when two complete individuals choose each other, not when one person spends months trying to convince the other. That difference changes everything. Instead of asking, how can I make someone choose me? A healthier question is, are we naturally compatible? Because the goal isn't convincing someone to love you. The goal is finding someone whose feelings naturally grow alongside yours. A story to think about. Imagine two men. The first spends every day trying to become exactly what one woman wants. He changes his schedule, his opinions, his hobbies, his personality. Everything revolves around gaining her approval. The second man also cares deeply, but he continues building his own life. He pursues his goals, maintains his friendships, keeps learning, keeps growing. If a relationship develops, wonderful. If not, his identity remains intact. Months later, who seems more emotionally secure? Who appears more confident? Who is likely to build healthier relationships in the future? The answer isn't about being nicer, it's about remaining authentic. People are naturally drawn toward those who know who they are. Final thoughts. If you've ever been friend-zoned, don't immediately assume you failed. Sometimes it simply means the emotional connection wasn't mutual, and that's part of life. Instead of chasing people who don't share your feelings, focus on becoming someone you're proud of. Build confidence, develop your passions, strengthen your communication, create a meaningful life that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. Ironically, that's often when healthier relationships begin. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're showing up as your authentic self. Remember, the right relationship isn't built on convincing someone to see your value. It's built on two people recognizing each other's value at the same time. And that's a completely different kind of connection. If this video changed the way you think about attraction, let me know in the comments. Which psychological reason surprised you the most? Have you ever experienced the friend zone or seen it happen to someone else? I'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoy psychology, relationships, and human behavior explained in a simple and practical way, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.